Hi, everyone. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Alexis Brussel. I am the outreach coordinator for Renters Helpline. And Sacramento Self-Help Housing has a new program that we're working with called CalAim. And here today is Shannon Fox, and she's going to kind of introduce the program to us and help us learn more about it, and then also how to refer some of our clients and your clients and see who is eligible. So Shannon, if you'd like to go ahead and introduce yourself and get started, we are ready.
Hi, everyone. As Alexis said, my name is Shannon Fox. I'm a housing coordinator over here at Sacramento Self-Help Housing. And as of January 1st, we did start a new program with the state. It's called CalAim. And if you just bear with me, and if I go on mute real fast, I'm real sorry because I have 3 dogs. So it's very possible that one of them might start barking. So I don't want to disturb anyone. So we'll get through this. It'll take about 15, 20 minutes. So here we go. All right. So we're going to start out with the agenda. The overview of CalAim housing related services. So we're going to talk very briefly about enhanced care management, which is also referred to as the ECM services, and then also community supports. And that is the portion of CalAim that we at Sac Self-Help manage. So we'll also talk a little bit about the ECM and the community supports in Sacramento. And the most important part is the referral process for the people that are experiencing homelessness. And so CalAim stands for California Advancing and Innovating Medi-Cal. And there goes my dog, y'all. So sorry about that. I do apologize. Yesterday when I did this presentation, I actually had my son home, so he babysat the dogs. So here we go. Again, I apologize. So CalAim stands for California Advancing and Innovating Medi-Cal. New Medi-Cal initiative that seeks to improve the health of Californians, and it's focused on the Californians with the most complex needs. So basically it's folks that are experiencing physical disabilities as well as behavioral health. There's a lot of services that they do provide. One of the populations of focus are the folks, again, that are experiencing the homelessness that have physical or behavioral health issues. So the state of California contracts with the managed care plans, also known as the MCPs, which contract with networks of providers to deliver services with Medi-Cal benefits. We currently work with, there are 5 medical providers that are part of this, and we are currently working with the 4. The big ones are Aetna, Anthem Blue Cross, HealthNet, and then Molina. Each participant that's enrolled in the Medi-Cal Select plans, and each MCP is only responsible for providing health coverage to its own members. So you do not have to have an ECM to have community support. So it's not a mandatory requirement. I strongly advise it because as an ECM, they're able to provide the medical type services, which is more of the points besides the 3 that I'll go through that we work with. So participants that choose not to have a medical provider such as Aetna, Blue Cross or HealthNet, Molina, and just considered straight Medi-Cal, they're not eligible for ECM or the community support services. Also, folks that have just Medicare as their primary, they as well are not eligible for these services. Really hoping that later they are able to work on that, because as we know, folks with Medicare are probably one of our most vulnerable as well. So we really need to work on that to be able to get services for those folks. Enhanced care management, ECM, and community supports. So there are 2 new programs that benefit and service for people experiencing the homelessness. ECM is a benefit through Medi-Cal, and it provides, like I said, the ECM services. Not required, but it is it is needed. It needs to have, they need to have that. So in the community support side, which we provide, are three of the, there's 14 points. So we provide the three. Housing transition and navigation services. What that is that we as navigators would go out and we look for housing. We meet with the client, we do an intake, we assess what they need, we go through with their income, with their assets. If they have a housing choice voucher, we want to go ahead and communicate with the housing authority to see if there's anything that needs to be done on that end. So that's the part of navigating to find housing. Also with that is the housing application fees and the housing deposits. So all of the medical providers, the MCPs, have a $5,000 lifetime amount. That is the maximum amount of money per household to use towards their housing. So we'll do that with application fees, housing deposit. It also works for transportation. And there's only a couple of them that actually provide the transportation, but then they also will help with, if there's anything left over, maybe possibly getting them some household items, such as maybe a bed or some things for the kitchen. And then the third one that is provided through community supports is the housing, tenancy, and sustaining services. In the past, when we had pathways, we called that our retention and stabilization. So once we get the client moved in, we then work with that client monthly, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, once a month, depending upon the needs of the client, to make sure that they are remaining in their home, working with them with budgets, working with them with their utilities, just doing a community support with them to make sure, hey, we need you to succeed. And that service actually is ongoing until they no longer need us. So as it says here, the key goal is to allow the members to obtain care in the least restrictive setting possible and to keep the people in the community. Here we go. So breaking it down for us, providing the potential housing options. We will communicate with the landlords, the property owners, to secure the housing. We will actually even go so far as to apply for the housing with the consent of the clients, to apply for them, to pay whatever the application fees are, and talk to the landlords and property managers and owners to basically so we can get these clients moved in there. And then we also do the move-in process. So we do all the work, say they have an HC voucher, we will do all of the communication with the housing authority. That includes the RFTA, getting the RFTA turned in. And if you guys are not familiar with the RFTA, RFTA stands for Request for Tenancy Approval, and it's a HUD form that is used to navigate with making sure that the housing is affordable and it's within the regulations of HUD through the housing authority. So we go ahead and we will actually navigate that process as well. Then we also will make sure that the lease is done correctly, that when they're moved in there, that the house is, the unit is habitable, which HUD will also do the inspection for that. But we just want to make sure that the clients are comfortable in that setting. Then I had said earlier that they cannot receive more than $5,000 in financial assistance. So that is their lifetime amount. But there is a caveat to that. Say a client has moved in and they are there for 6 months, something happens in that unit. Say they have to move because of there could be damages to the unit, there could be a flood, there could be anything that's going on. But if it puts them at risk of being homeless again, we can start that process all over. So it's not a sorry, $5,000, you moved in, if something happens, we can't help you anymore. We are still able to work with them, and they will then provide financial assistance to get them rehoused. So the housing, tenancy, and sustaining is we continue support to the client to ensure their success, because that is what we want. And we also will navigate and assist in the annual recertification process. That is one where SHRA will send out, say, their recert notifications 120 days prior to the expiration date. We will help them with that process. We can submit the forms for them, but we can also help them with getting onto the resident portal and making sure they're comfortable with that, so that moving forward, they're able to do this on their own. So making the referral, Medi-Cal members who are eligible for community supports can be referred by anyone. They can refer themselves, a community member can refer them, family members, or even the medical providers. They have to be enrolled in Medi-Cal. Medi-Cal has to be their primary. It cannot be like Medi-Cal or Medi then Medi-Cal. So there's two sides that they will look at. They have selected an MCP, and they should be eligible for the community support services in Sacramento County. There are different forms and different processes for each of the plans that are required for approval. And, later I can, if you guys want to email me, or there's an email at the end, we can let you know what forms are needed. So making the referrals, once a CalAim member is approved and enrolled into the CalAim program, the housing navigator will contact the household, and then we will begin the intake process. We will meet with them, get all the documents that are required, see what their needs are, and then work on finding them housing. So the tips for making the referral. So when you're going to submit a referral, please include the documentation of the client's consent to proceed with services. So we have to have written consent. This is something that is it's a HIPAA thing. So that's something else that we'd be able to work with you. We actually do have a form through SAC Self-Help that basically, it's like a release of information, but pretty much it's saying that I agree and I want this help. So any written consent, say that your organization has, would also work. And let's see here. So making the referral. So this is the requirement per Anthem. And then we're seeing across the board that all of the providers are requesting this. So we have to have supporting documentation for the homelessness, whether it's an eviction notice, it could be a 30, 60, 90-day notice stating that they have to leave. Documentation from shelters, written documentation is fine. Documentation of homelessness or risk of homelessness by the service providers, PCP specialists or outreach. Documentation and office visit note with diagnosis of identification of at least one. Financial statements. If folks have access to HMIS, we can also use a homeless roster that's in there stating that they are homeless, as well as the certification of homelessness that we use through HMIS as well. But if you think you're eligible, or if you have someone who may be eligible, there's the number here for Sheridan. Sheridan Estevez is our billing specialist, and she would be more than happy to find out with some small documentation to see if they're eligible. So you can email her or call her and then provide the following, which is the name, birthday, their ID number, which is on their BIC card, the CIN number, and the verification of homelessness. Also, if you guys want, you can email me. My email address is sfox@sacselfhelp.org, and I can also guide you through it as well. And does anyone have any questions? Did I go too fast?
This is Kathy over for First Step Communities. I was busy taking notes and I may have missed it. So let's say we have someone that qualifies, we refer them over to you, and their income is limited or non-existent. Who pays for their rent? Or is this
that is something that that is actually something that we have been trying to figure out as well. If SHRA would just release some more vouchers, maybe some more emergency housing vouchers, or even if we could just get some traditional HCVs, that would help the process. But without an income, it is very difficult to house somebody because there is no extra monies out there. We can get them moved in, but there's not a lot we can do as far as the maintaining of the unit, monthly. So I think that's something that needs to also be addressed with the other, with the housing authority, and the city and county needs to bring that up as well. If we want to make this program successful and getting referrals, then yes, we are going to need additional support from government agencies to be able to help these folks.